Time to get real and talk about the mistakes we make. This week, our top 10 is all about mistakes at work we learned the hard way. We asked, what did you do that you will never do again? And you want to save others from doing the same thing. And boy, I think I've learned all of these lessons the hard way. Listen to our list to hopefully save yourself some grief. Our first mistake comes from Leslie Hartwell from Rapid City, South Dakota, who shared a mistake that several of you agreed was a common lesson learned. Leslie said that we need to avoid taking on someone else's problems. She shared that at work, she jumped in to help a new admin who was being overwhelmed and overworked, which was a really nice thing to do. However, this new employee was being tested on how she would handle those types of things. And by Leslie jumping in, it messed it all up. Others shared that when they jumped in, they ended up owning the responsibility, which was never the intent, or the person they helped accused us of overstepping and interfering. Trying to be nice sometimes backfires, so be sure to look at the entire situation before you jump in and rescue someone. Bridget Cochran from Edmonton, Alberta, shared a lesson learned the hard way that we also can relate to. Bridget reminded us to always answer the phone professionally, no matter what name or number appears on the screen. She thought her friend was on the line and picked up the phone with a very casual yet unprofessional greeting to her friend. Only it wasn't her friend, but one of the senior leadership. I mean, can you imagine? Yikes. I'll expand on that and remind you to make sure that the phone is hung up before you make any comment about the person or the situation on the other end of the line. Sometimes we think we've hung up, say something unprofessional, and the person on the other end of the line is not only still there, but they hear your comment. Our third mistake comes from Kelly Gaby from Ottawa, Ontario. Kelly learned the hard way about setting boundaries and teaching others how to treat her. By always being available and by not establishing boundaries, we find ourselves on the path to burnout. Don't learn that lesson the hard way. Many hard lessons were learned through email this week. Greg Bowman from Oakville, Ontario said that we must be careful with reply all. Now, while Greg didn't leave the story for us to share, I'm guessing we all have our own examples of a hard lesson learned with the reply to all button. Debbie Adler from Vista, California brings us to number 5. Debbie says that when sending an email, don't put the person's name or email in the to box until you have read and reread what you've typed to be certain that you don't write something that you might regret, especially if you are angry or upset about the situation. And if necessary, send the email to yourself and sit on it for 24 hours before forwarding it to the proper recipient. Number 6 is also a lesson many of us learned the hard way. But Maureen Pearl from Sparks, Nevada says that we should never say anything via email that you wouldn't want anyone to see. You never know who might get forwarded that email by mistake. I have also learned this mistake the hard way. And although I knew better, I still said something in an email that I should have never written down. The person I sent the email to accidentally forwarded that message to the person that we were discussing, and I was mortified. I'd like to think that my colleague wasn't trying to throw me under the bus, and it was an accident. But suffice it to say that I permanently damaged a relationship through a mistake someone else made and the mistake I made for putting something in writing that I should have never done. Tanya from Nanaimo, BC shared a lesson that hurts more than most others hurt. Tanya and many others made the mistake of assuming that we create personal relationships at work. She said her mistake was believing that her boss had her back and believing that her boss cared about her. We can substitute my boss with my colleague or my work friend. When it comes down to our job, everyone will protect themselves and will not have your back or may not care about you when it's a choice between them or you. It's a hard lesson to learn for sure. Number 8 is from Lori Jo Jaycox from Butler, New Jersey. Lori Jo says not to blame others when things go wrong and to always own up to your mistakes and have a recommendation how to fix it and prevent it in the future. There's nothing worse than being caught in a lie or blaming someone else when something goes wrong. Own it, learn from it, and prevent it from happening again. Rachel DeNuno from London, Ontario says that when you send an Excel document to someone and they need to print it, preset the formatting for printing or print to PDF and send them the PDF of the area they need to print. Not everyone is as good with Excel as you are. It's a little gesture, but it goes a long way to show respect for your colleagues. Don't make the mistake of not treating your colleagues with a little extra service. And number 10 is from me. Don't share confidential information with colleagues, even if they are your best friend at work. I learned this lesson the hard way and shared something I shouldn't have, even though I told them it was confidential. The information came out. The person asked how they knew that information, and my name was brought forward. Confidential is confidential. Know it and keep your reputation safe by not sharing confidential information with anyone. These stories bring back a bunch of bad memories for me as I learned many of these lessons the hard way. I hope that if you haven't made one of these mistakes, you take our word for it and learn now before you make the mistake. For those of you that did share, thank you for sharing your honesty, your willingness to share the lessons you learned the hard way, and good luck moving forward.